Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a topic that is becoming increasingly urgent for global security watchers, military analysts, and anyone following the shifting balance of naval power in the Indo-Pacific region. China's diesel, electric submarines, especially their newer air-independent propulsion designs, are rapidly becoming a serious problem for the U.S. Navy. These submarines are not only growing in number, but also advancing in stealth, endurance, and strike capability. As we break down the reasons behind this emerging challenge, we will explore how the strategic map is shifting, why China is investing heavily in these undersea assets, and what it means for future military operations at sea. China has spent the last 2 decades steadily building one of the world's largest and most modern submarine fleets. While nuclear-powered submarines draw most of the headlines, the real story lies in China's diesel, electric boats. These vessels are cheaper to build, easier to maintain, and extremely quiet when operating in shallow coastal waters. This combination gives them certain advantages that nuclear submarines, even American ones, struggle to match. Their silence, especially when running on batteries, makes them difficult to detect. And this is exactly where the challenge for the United States begins. The U.S. Navy relies heavily on its nuclear-powered submarines for deep water dominance. These American submarines are fast, long range, and incredibly capable. However, they are optimized for blue water operations, not the shallow and acoustically cluttered environments of the South China Sea or Taiwan Strait. China's diesel, electric submarines thrive in these types of waters. They can lie in wait, move slowly with minimal noise, and create conditions where even the best U.S. sonar systems face limitations. This mismatch between U.S. capabilities and the operating environment is one of the core reasons the diesel-electric threat is taken so seriously. One of the biggest advancements in China's submarine program is the integration of air-independent propulsion. AMP technology allows diesel-electric submarines to stay submerged for far longer than older boats that needed to surface or snorkel frequently. Surfacing exposes a submarine to detection, so AMP dramatically reduces vulnerability. Some Chinese submarines can remain underwater for weeks, conducting silent patrols and maintaining positions in contested areas. This new endurance gives the Chinese Navy the ability to set underwater traps, watch key sea lanes, and prepare ambushes without ever being spotted. The geography of East Asia further amplifies the threat. The waters surrounding China are filled with islands, shallow regions, and complex underwater terrain. These conditions interfere with sonar, creating pockets where even advanced detection systems struggle. This environment is perfect for diesel-electric submarines. China understands this and builds its strategy around exploiting these waters to maximize stealth. For the U.S. Navy, entering these regions means stepping into what defense analysts call China's denied zone, where every movement risks crossing paths with a hidden submarine. Another major factor is China's sheer production capacity. Beijing is building submarines at a pace unmatched by the United States. While the U.S. struggles with industrial delays, workforce shortages, and slow shipyard expansion, China continues launching new submarines year after year. The quantity advantage alone changes the strategic picture. Even if each individual Chinese submarine is not as capable as an American nuclear submarine, the ability to deploy many quiet diesel boats at once creates a layered and overwhelming threat. China's diesel-electric submarines are also becoming more heavily armed. They can carry advanced torpedoes, sea mines, and cruise missiles. Some of these missiles are capable of striking targets far from shore, including American warships, supply vessels, and forward bases. A small, silent submarine hiding in shallow waters can launch a surprise attack before the U.S. Navy can even locate it. This creates a massive risk for U.S. carrier strike groups, which rely on detecting and neutralizing threats before they come close. One of the U.S. Navy's key roles in any conflict scenario involving China would be securing sea lines of communication. These supply routes are essential for moving ships, equipment, and reinforcements across the Pacific. Diesel, electric submarines are ideal for disrupting these routes. They can plant mines, ambush logistics ships, and force the U.S. Navy to divert significant resources to anti-submarine warfare. Every escort, every patrol, and every surveillance operation pulls attention away from other missions, creating pressure on the entire operational structure. China's improving training and tactics also need to be considered. In the past, Chinese submarine crews were not known for high proficiency, but over the past decade, China has invested heavily in training programs, new naval academies, realistic wargaming, and joint operations. Their crews now operate with far more confidence and coordination. Exercises show that China is becoming more skilled at deploying submarines in groups, using decoys, and coordinating them with aircraft and surface ships. This level of sophistication makes them harder to defeat. Another growing concern is China's focus on building a dense network of undersea sensors, surveillance systems, and communication nodes. These networks connect to shore-based command centers and give China better monitoring of its surrounding waters. When combined with their submarine fleet, this creates a powerful detection and strike network. Instead of submarines operating alone, they become part of a broader system designed to identify and overwhelm intruding forces. For the U.S. Navy, entering this interconnected environment means facing not just submarines but an entire underwater web. The psychological and strategic impact of these submarines cannot be underestimated. They force the United States to plan every movement with caution. U.S. commanders must assume that Chinese submarines are present, even when they cannot be detected. This creates operational stress, slows down maneuvers, and complicates mission planning. A single quiet submarine can tie down multiple U.S. destroyers, aircraft, and surveillance systems. This disproportionate effect is exactly why diesel-electric boats are so valuable to China. China's growing naval confidence is reflected in its willingness to deploy submarines farther from its shores. Patrols are becoming longer, routes are expanding, and submarines are now appearing in the Indian Ocean, near strategic choke points, and around disputed islands. These operations signal that China is not just defending its coastline, but projecting power outward. For the United States, this means preparing for a future where Chinese submarines may be encountered across the Indo-Pacific, not just in local hotspots. Another factor is cost efficiency. Building a nuclear submarine is expensive and requires advanced shipyard capacity. Diesel-electric submarines are far cheaper, allowing China to expand its fleet quickly. With limited budgets and strained shipbuilding timelines, the U.S. struggles to match China's pace. While the U.S. builds a few nuclear submarines over many years, China can launch multiple diesel-electric submarines in the same time frame. This cost advantage contributes directly to China's growing numerical superiority. China also benefits from proximity. Operating close to home means its submarines can receive maintenance, supplies, and support quickly. They can rotate crews, repair systems, and return to action faster than U.S. submarines that operate far from home ports. Meanwhile, American submarines must travel vast distances across the Pacific, reducing their effective time on station. The logistical efficiency of China's fleet gives it operational endurance without needing long-range platforms. The U.S. Navy is aware of the growing threat and has been working on new anti-submarine technologies. Advances in sonar, drones, underwater sensors, and AI-driven tracking systems are underway, but these technologies take time to develop, test, and deploy. China's rapid shipbuilding pace continues, and every year the gap widens. This creates a race between innovation and quantity, and China's head start in numbers is difficult to counter quickly. The U.S. Navy also faces challenges in updating its own fleet. many American ships and aircraft are aging and require upgrades or replacements. Anti-submarine warfare aircraft like the P-8 Poseidon are effective, but there are not enough of them to cover the entire Indo-Pacific region. Surface ships must juggle multiple missions, leaving limited resources dedicated specifically to tracking submarines. The demand for more assets continues to grow while the supply remains constrained. In the event of a conflict, China's submarine fleet would become one of the first lines of attack. They would attempt to isolate Taiwan, disrupt American reinforcements, and target critical assets such as carriers. Their stealthy nature makes them difficult to neutralize quickly. This means the U.S. Navy would face significant early disruptions, potentially altering the entire course of a conflict. The ability of these submarines to shape the battlefield before larger forces arrive is one of the most concerning aspects for American planners. China's strategic doctrine emphasizes using submarines to create uncertainty. Even if a submarine does not attack, its presence alone forces the United States to remain cautious. The fear of a possible torpedo or missile launch changes how the U.S. positions its ships. Commanders must allocate defensive resources, alter patrol routes, and limit high-risk operations. This kind of psychological pressure is a deliberate part of China's naval strategy. Another major influence is export potential. China is becoming a leading supplier of submarines to other countries. Nations in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East are purchasing Chinese submarines at lower prices than Western alternatives. As these submarines spread globally, China gains diplomatic influence, military partnerships, and opportunities to refine its technology through foreign cooperation. This global expansion adds another layer of complexity for the United States. China's naval modernization program is accelerating, and its diesel-electric submarines are evolving rapidly. Future variants are expected to be even quieter, carry more weapons, and integrate more advanced sensors. Some analysts believe China may soon reach near-silent propulsion levels that rival top Western designs. As each new generation emerges, the difficulty of tracking and countering these submarines increases dramatically. The U.S. Navy is not without strengths. American crews are highly trained, its nuclear submarines are world-class, and the U.S. has extensive experience in anti-submarine warfare. However, the challenge posed by China's diesel-electric submarines is not about superiority in a one-on-one scenario. It is about environment, geography, numbers, and strategic positioning. Even the best submarine in the world can face difficulties when overwhelmed by multiple threats in shallow and contested waters. China's military strategy increasingly relies on creating layered defenses. Diesel-electric submarines form one of the most critical layers. They complement China's missile batteries, aircraft surface ships, and electronic warfare systems. Together, these layers create a multi-domain challenge that the U.S. Navy must penetrate if it hopes to operate freely in the region. The submarines themselves may be quiet, but their strategic impact echoes loudly across the Indo-Pacific. The situation is further complicated by China's investment in undersea drones and unmanned vehicles. These systems can operate alongside manned submarines, extending surveillance reach and creating additional threats for the U.S. Navy to track. As China merges traditional submarines with next-generation unmanned systems, the underwater battlefield becomes even more crowded and unpredictable. The U.S. is aware of the evolving threat and is investing in new programs such as unmanned submarines, improved sonar arrays, and long-range strike capabilities. However, these upgrades require years to finalize. During that time, China continues fielding new submarines. The pacing difference creates a strategic window where China's diesel-electric fleet may hold significant advantages. All of this points to one conclusion: China's diesel-electric submarines are not just a regional challenge, but a major strategic obstacle for the U.S. Navy. Their stealth, low cost, and adaptability make them ideal for defending China's interests and denying American access to key waters. As they continue improving, the U.S. Navy must adapt quickly to avoid falling behind in undersea warfare. Understanding this threat is crucial for shaping future naval strategy, defense spending, and regional partnerships. The Indo-Pacific is becoming the center of naval competition in the 21st century, and diesel-electric submarines are one of the central tools driving that competition. China's rapid growth in this area signals that underwater dominance will be a contested arena for years to come. As the United States considers how to respond, it must weigh technological innovation, industrial capacity, and strategic positioning. The challenge is not simply to match China submarine for submarine, but to develop comprehensive solutions that address detection, defense, and deterrence. Only a multi-layered strategy can counter the multi-layered threat created by China's growing fleet. Ultimately, China's diesel-electric submarines represent a powerful combination of stealth, strategy, and scale. Their ability to operate in shallow, complex waters, combined with China's shipbuilding momentum, poses a challenge that the U.S. Navy cannot ignore. The future of naval power in the Indo-Pacific will depend heavily on how effectively the United States can adapt to this fast-changing reality.